TopMedTalk.
Welcome to TopMedTalk. This piece is presented by Desiree Chappell, Aronson and Monty Mythen, and it explores the future of the American Society of Anesthesiologists, the ASA, and their conference, Anesthesiology. We recorded it as live at the conference last year. Have a listen.
We have Dr. Sheela Pai Cole joining us today to talk to us about the future of this anesthesiology meeting. Sheela, it's wonderful to meet you. Thanks so much for joining us here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Desiree. It's quite an honor to be here and to be interviewed by my former fellowship director. That is, I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah.
I know he's going to bring it up. It's all about that.
And you might as well mention 20 years ago, so we can really.
You did that all to yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Sheela, for those who may not know you, tell us just a little bit more about yourself.
I am a cardiac anesthesiologist and an ICU physician. I've been in practice for over 20 years, primarily practice at an academic center. It's at Stanford University in Palo Alto. I've been there for about 8 years. I got involved with the ASA after my fellowship at the University of Chicago. I had some excellent mentors there who got me involved early in the ASA, and it's been a wonderful journey thus far. Yeah. I've had the opportunity to meet wonderful people, learn from excellent researchers, so it's been a wonderful journey.
That's something you started at the very beginning of your career.
Yeah,
You've been
I did.
with the organization that, been involved that long. That's great.
Absolutely. I do believe one thing that I learned from my training is that you have to engage the next generation early. Yeah. Because once they realize the benefits of being part of something like this, they're more likely to show up, participate, and then also promote the information and provide safe patient care. So I do think being involved early is very, very important.
Gotcha. So what different committees and things have you done, Anesthesia ASA?
I started out in the Critical Care Education Committee. Okay. I was initially a member. I was invited to do talks as junior faculty. Initially, when I started, I was like, I don't know, maybe people can hear the, crackling in my voice, etc. And then I got to be chair of the education track for critical care. Oh. That was about 8 years ago now. And that's what sort of exposed me to what meeting planning truly is about. It's about, not just presenting the topic, but also being a sponsor for the next generation, of being a mentor to other people in terms of helping them speak well, clearly, being on time, those kinds of things. Yeah. So I did that for the chair of the critical care track for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And after 4 years, I was invited to be the third vice chair for the annual meeting oversight committee, otherwise known as AMOC.
Okay.
It's a 5-year commitment.
Oh.
So you start off as third vice chair, then second, then first or vice chair, and then chair, and then the last year you serve as a mentor for the next person by being the past chair.
Got you.
So it's a 5-year term. Wow. So you have to clear up your schedule for that one.
And so currently you're first vice chair, upcoming chair?
Upcoming chair.
Okay.
Starting Tuesday.
Mazel tov.
Oh,
Thank
yes.
you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. It's a big responsibility and a very big honor. But, hopefully I have some incredible people on my team.
Yes.
The physicians that are part of the annual oversight committee are incredibly talented. They come from different subspecialties, so it ends up being a true representation of anesthesiology as a whole, not just skewed towards one or the other subspecialty, which is pretty much what our membership embodies. That's sort of where it is. It's 5 members for each year. Yeah. We're supported by incredible staff at the ASA.
Sure.
I mean, these are people who will email you on nights, weekends, send out timely reminders, create schedules, troubleshoot things. It's almost as if they know what you're thinking and what kind of plan or vision you have for your meeting, and they sort of deliver on that. So it's incredibly responsive. So it's really a joy to work with them.
Sheela, being, in the inner circle now for 3 years, going on 4 to 5 and 6 or whatever you just said, I want to capture the word vision and ask you if you could give us some points of view through your lens where the big sort of buttons have been in the last few years with respect to this annual meeting sort of being the showcase of those moments where curves are bent or straightened and directions are sort of charted.
Sure, that's a great question. The meeting has changed in the many years that I've been coming to it. It's become more representative consciously of its membership. There's a very concerted effort to include the various aspects of diversity, whether it is gender, race, ethnicity, which is obvious in panels, but also taking into consideration the different practice styles as well as geographic locations, because it's important to have the perspective from experts across the country, because they come with different experiences. Like, for example, when I lived on the East Coast, I very rarely saw meth and meth-induced cardiomyopathy. It was just it was all cocaine, heroin, coronary spasm, etc. And I moved to California 8 years ago, and it's all meth. And I'm like, what happened? Did meth just start? And so there are geographic challenges. There's different aspects of health disparities which are at play. In California, there are very few big centers, so some of the so it ends up being a very big hub and spoke model. In contrast to, say, the East Coast, where there are many big centers offering similar services. So I think the meeting needs to reflect the practice styles from the membership, and so that's the big difference that I've seen, like, being watched concertedly over the years. So that's definitely a big thing. Other than that, I think there's been an emphasis on including other aspects of medicine, whether it's professionalism, well-being, etc., which are also being incorporated because it's being recognized as a big, just working is being recognized as a big source of burnout. So the meeting definitely takes into consideration what's happening actively in the space, whether it's the opioid epidemic or it's the vaping challenges that we saw, whether it's the mental illness, suicide. So all of these topics are being incorporated much more readily than sort of being sought after.
Obviously, we're all crawling out of the pit called COVID, and we're starting to come out of our caves and, engage and interact and, shake hands with people and things like that. But we learned a lot from the point of view of education and dissemination of messaging. What lessons have we learned that will be enduring and carry on forward, even as COVID becomes hopefully memory in our vernacular?
So, my gosh, there's so many things, right? Where do you want me to start? I think the big thing that we learned is that we can have virtual meetings. People learn from watching virtual, talks, etc. That's one part of it, though. It's not unanimous. You would think that if you could just sit in your house and watch something, that everybody would want to do it. But we've learned that it's not very popular. Yeah. We like virtual meetings for some things, but we also missed, for the last 2.5 years, the in-person interaction, the human connection, the fact that we're all sitting and learning about each other's lives. I think all of that was also sort of suffered. And I feel like we learned that we can't live without either of these things. So we have to find a way to have an annual meeting which does all parts of the digital space that we now see, or now that we're in.
So the oversight meeting committee works every year diligently to develop that year's meeting. So tell us a little bit about maybe that process, where we were for this meeting, and then hopefully where you're going.
Yeah, the oversight committee puts together the entire program. The entire program has 12 tracks.
Wow.
So
is that fluid or is that kind of set by?
It's always increasing. It's hard to pare down, as you can imagine. So it's always increasing. The tracks sort of represent the various areas of interest people have in anesthesiology, critical care, cardiac, etc. Each of these tracks are allocated a certain number of hours. The hours represent the weight it carries in the field. So cardiac, for example, has the most hours, I believe, and professional issues, because those are the things where people are asking for more, despite the fact that there are other avenues to get this information. There's those tracks. In terms of how the committee itself works, we have 2 on-site meetings in Chicago, one in January, where most of the program gets put into place for the upcoming meeting. So we're at least 9 months ahead of time. The site to submit sessions opens in August. We solicit submissions from our membership. We try not to create the content ourselves, just so that it is for the people, by the people, and so it's very transparent.
And let me ask one more time, and we'll talk about this one. But August for the coming year.
Yes. Even before, so
a
August,
year and a half, like a year and several months before the next one.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, so August. I mean, it's interesting because people who've never submitted are always, but for this year's meeting, I'm like, no, it's for the next year's meeting. And so the submission site closes in December, early December.
Okay.
Each track has a track chair, has leadership. The leadership will score the submissions for their track, and they will submit it to us. And we usually use their recommendations to sort of represent what the program looks like for that track. So therefore, there's involvement from the membership itself. It's not sort of skewed towards, the 10 people I might know.
Right. It's easy for that to happen because that's the pool of people, and if you run in the same circles, that's what you're going to get.
Yes, exactly.
Which is fine.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and each, especially something like a panel, which has 3 or 4 people, usually we try to have geographic diversity in addition to other forms of diversity, because we want the attendees to be able to learn from the various different practices and practice styles that are out there. So that's what happens in December. January, we meet to go over, look at the sessions, where are we going to put them? There's actually a big screen.
I can't even imagine this Sudoku puzzle.
Yes, because you have to take into consideration people's special needs, requests to be off for any variety of reasons, whether they're part of the House of Delegates, if they're not overlapping themselves, which would kind of be really sad.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
And then the invites go out to the speakers to say they've been accepted, or, do better next time, or do different, rather, more
Try
importantly.
again,
I mean, it's just, we've tried to also go back and give feedback.
Oh, that's nice.
Because we try to say, hey, this is, and we tell it to our track chairs. We say this particular session, the speaker had sort of submitted sessions in all the tracks.
Gotcha.
With, thinking that
there's no limit of submission, I guess.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, on each submission, if you're diligent, you can probably get it done in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So some people will use that opportunity to put it across the tracks. And so we try to be cognizant of those kind of people, just so that not the same person is speaking 15 different times.
Yeah.
Some of the things we like to look out for are to make sure that no speaker has more than 3 sessions.
Yeah.
That's really important to us.
I can see that.
Because you can't imagine that one speaker is so sought after that there's nobody else in the 56,000 members we have
Right.
across the country.
Yeah. Saul, did you have a question?
I did. First of all, do you know Monty? He's pretty well sought after. So, hearing you speak, it seems to me that so much of the duties are to ensure appropriate operations.
Yes.
The operationalization of the meeting has guardrails that you have to police. And I guess I underappreciated the burden of that.
Glorious burden.
Oh, sorry?
The glorious
The
burden.
glorious burden. But my question is sort of the hot buttons, that as we live and learn, those change and evolve. And are they driven by the committee? Are there teasers, requests for, publication kind of, invitations? Or are they driven by the bottom up? Each meeting has a theme with a, sort of a focused hot button. Where does that come from? Is it top down or is it bottom up? And how is that managed?
So the annual meeting no longer has a theme.
Okay.
We did away with the theme a few years ago.
Okay.
Just because it was really difficult for 12 tracks to come up, unify behind one theme.
Okay.
So we don't have a theme as much anymore. What we're always on the search for are what are relevant issues. So, for example, and we leave space open for late breaking.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
Late breaking sessions. To say, like last year we had 2 spaces for COVID management, ECMO, et cetera. So just because we wanted to have that opportunity in case either COVID got worse or there was like some miracle cure or, some new direction that we needed to advertise to the membership. So it's both. It comes from the leadership. The leadership is 5 people. Right? And they also report to the ASA themselves, meaning the executive committee. And so the ideas sort of come from that end. And then we also can gauge the popularity of a topic based on the number of submissions on it, especially when it came to vaping or professionalism or, opioid use. We had several.
Yes.
And so it was easy to pick out that was going to be something that people wanted to hear about.
Okay. Got it.
So, sometimes we'll say, think about putting together a panel on X.
Yeah.
We might suggest that as an idea if it's missing in a certain track, but most often we just go with like consensus building so that the meeting is something that's truly useful for the membership, and if it comes from you, then that's how it sort of came down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Monty, did you have a...
Yeah, I've been a long-term member of the ASA, and it presents itself as a global organisation. When you talk about geography, is it a bit like the baseball World Series? You mean
So 13%
USA and possibly Canada, or do you mean,
no,
do you mean the other worlds?
No. So 13% of our audience, of our registrants right now, are international.
And a 13% of the speakers?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
There's a large
There's a lot.
contingency.
I'm just drawing that out for people to see.
Yeah. Every year it changes.
Yep.
People tell me that San Francisco is very popular and that we're going to have a lot of people from internationally visit San Francisco. Let's hope that's the case. We do set aside 2 international sessions, which represent the societies of Brazil, Colombia, South Korea, and the European countries. So that way there's an exchange so that when our president goes and speaks in those countries, there's definitely representation there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, Sheela, let's talk about your position next year as being committee chair. Large responsibilities, but I'm sure you have a vision, especially from your experience. You've been here, for many years. I feel like you have probably a pretty good grasp on what, anesthesiology needs. So what are you thinking this year?
So it's a very big responsibility and a big honor as well. So I'm very excited.
Yeah.
And I'm also a little scared.
That's okay. That's normal.
Yeah.
If you weren't.
I know, right? My thought towards the meeting is to make it more inclusive and more accessible.
Interesting. Okay.
We've been talking to various people about why they're not attending the ASA. Is it because of the location? Is it a cost issue? Are you not getting time off from your department? Which is it? And we're trying to make it so that we can have involvement, which is why we're so happy with the virtual track, or the virtual meeting, because there's so many people who are getting to see the content and get the CME and still be able to be in their space, either working or other responsibilities they may have.
Yeah.
So definitely inclusive. The second is to continue to find topics which are relevant to our membership and to highlight innovation.
Mm-hmm.
There has been so much innovation in terms of diagnostics,
Yes.
right? Especially with ultrasound, echocardiography,
Yes.
the applicability, the ease with which you can, acquire images, those kinds of things. So it's more widespread. So I would like to see that be taught in a wider space so that we can inspire, not just educate, but inspire the next generation to either do more research in it and then teach us better things,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's so fascinating to see all the wearables.
Oh my gosh. It
Right?
really is. Yes.
As a cardiac anesthesiologist, I do cardioversions. You cannot imagine the number of people that have shown up because they detected AFib on their wearable.
Oh, really? I hadn't even thought.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've thought about it, but I
Yeah.
had not in a while.
Yeah.
That's
And so, I mean,
true,
these
right?
are asymptomatic people. I was
Yeah.
like, were you running and you felt that your exercise tolerance suffered? No.
Yeah.
Oh, my wearable
It
told me.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, right? And if we can do more of that, I think we can improve patient engagement in their own health. We can increase our visibility in that space, right? So I'm very excited to think more about, bringing more innovative sessions, focus on new technology, highlight myths. That's always a thing.
I'm sorry. So
Myths as in, things that have not worked or have been disproven since.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I look at it as a multi sort of pronged approach to it, where there's something for everybody that attends, a little bit of like an a la carte menu.
Yeah.
That's sort of where I think, or I hope the meeting will go.
Yeah, that's great. There are so many young anesthesiologists here, and it's so wonderful to see that. How are you going to specifically work to address some of the needs of them versus the needs of those who've been doing this for a little while?
Absolutely. So the ASA just announced an early career track.
Yes.
Yes, it's very exciting, which offers 2 free meetings in a 3-year period, I believe. And so that's not only to attend. From my end, ever since we've started doing Snap Talks a few years ago, we've been using that space to have junior faculty sort of have an opportunity to speak.
And Snap Talk is just like a shorter kind of abbreviated session.
So all our sessions are 1 hour long. Most panels have 3 speakers. A Snap Talk has 5 speakers.
Oh.
So the 5 speakers will speak. It can be a continuum of one topic or 5 different topics. And basically the 10-minute talks, high value sort of information sharing. And it's a great place for junior faculty or young faculty, early researchers to sort of speak at that session because it's quick, it's not daunting. You get to practice being on time. You get visibility. You get to come here and see new things. So I think all of that increases engagement.
Yes.
If we see someone like ourselves, we're more likely to be motivated to do that task. So I believe the way to engagement is to sort of invite them in the various spaces of meeting planning, being in the program, mentoring opportunities.
That is one thing that I've gained so much from the conferences that I go to. Is not necessarily the conversation and networking that I can do, as a younger provider, but also the mentorship that we receive from those who have gone before us and created a lot of this around us.
Right.
So how do you keep them engaged?
I think people are realizing.
Or do you even care?
No, I care. I do care. I do
being
care.
a little rhetoric here, but
No, because I think the way forward is to be a bridge between the voice of experience and the voice of youth, and then use the technology that the youth so cherishes to make sort of a better offering for everybody.
Yeah.
And so I think most people, when they I'm getting older, right? Obviously, right? So I think about this all the time, and I'm just like, you can't just say, oh, I did this in my day, and it'll be the same. It's no longer that.
Yeah.
It's both. Yes, I did this, and now I'm going to do this because it may be more efficient. I'm at least going to be open enough to try. And I'm hoping that the sessions interest the wide spectrum of the membership. The various, the snap talks for the people who, like me, have a low bandwidth.
Yes.
Or, the longer, more experienced talks, which have, content, experience, etc., which sort of deliver for everybody.
Yeah. Well, Sheela, for everyone listening, tell us about the upcoming meeting. Where, when, do you have those details yet?
Yes. It's in second week of October in San Francisco.
All right. It's such a wonderful venue there.
Yes. So every time you talk about San Francisco, there's either joy or fear that is elicited.
Yeah.
So I'll start by addressing the fear aspect. The ASA staff actually was hosted by the San Francisco government, meaning the mayor's office.
Oh.
And they basically reassured them about the various steps they had taken to address the personal safety issues that are sometimes present in San Francisco, just like in other big cities. And they've actually done a fantastic job of showing us the various guards that are that was added security. So we hope that it is it reassures people from that aspect. So there's that. But in terms of joy, it has such great food, so many options for so many things in San Francisco, right? So much tradition, so much culture, so many different experiences that and you can get to it so easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And it's so beautiful. Even when you're walking to the meeting in the morning and it's beautiful out and you can really enjoy everything around you, get some great content, and then go out, for a nice evening out. So.
Yeah. So totally looking forward to the meeting in San Francisco.
Great.
It's been historically our most popular venue.
Oh, very good.
In terms of numbers. We hope that continues.
Yeah.
The last time, we hope some of the missteps of last San Francisco meeting are a thing of the past and no longer sort of come up again this time. But
all those things have been addressed and you're working to do that. That's great news.
So,
wonderful.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I'm sure if anybody has any questions about it, they can reach out to the committee or is there?
Yep, absolutely. Reach out to the committee. All of us are posted on the ASA website. We respond to emails, texts, WhatsApp messages, phone calls.
And Sheela, the one, because I assume that the August just passed was when people submitted sessions for San Francisco.
Yes.
So if people want to take the opportunity next August, what's the one after? That they
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Great.
Philadelphia.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah. And then I think after that is San Antonio.
Oh,
We plan out the itinerary a few years ahead. I want to say 5 or 6, but
Yeah. So submitting, there's still going to be a chance of late breaking sessions. coming up for next year's meeting. But
Yes.
gosh, we really look forward to that content. It sounds like the direction of where you're taking, the anesthesiology 2023. Sounds
Let's
very-
hope. We're very excited that we're back to in-person meetings.
I know. It's been
has
so wonderful.
It has been.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had so many interesting conversations, learned so many new things. So
Yep.
it's been wonderful. So
Fantastic.
May I just say, Sheila,
yes.
I appreciate you, and I'm so proud of you.
Aw. Thank you, Saul.
That was
You're
from the
welcome.
bottom of your heart, wasn't
It
it?
truly was. It
Yeah.
truly was.
It really
Thank
was.
you. Thank
well,
you.
Sheila, good luck to you.
Absolutely.
You're going to do fabulous. It's going to be wonderful. I mean, it sounds like you have a great plan laid out. And, if anybody wants more information, they can find it online, asahq.org.
Yep, absolutely. The
Great.
submission site is open. It closes the first week of December.
Oh, that's right. So
you
we have
lots
time
of
right now.
Lots of time.
Yes, yeah.
To
So if you're
submit for
working
something,
on
yeah.
anything, please do
Hurry up.
submit.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you got a
If
little bit of
you-
time, but
If you have an idea and you want to speak, but you don't know two other people, also reach out to us. We're happy to make introductions. It can serve as, partnerships, collaborative experiences, etc. So,
which is really
Yes.
a major value add, I think, to a meeting like this, to be able to work with people you may not know, but
Yep.
have similar interests and passion.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Very good, Sheila. It was so wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us.
Thank you so much, Desiree. This has been a wonderful experience. Thank you.
I'm glad. And thank you for listening to TopMedTalk here at Anesthesiology 2022. Again, if you're watching on the live stream or you're listening to this, you can catch everything that we've done prior to at TopMedTalk.com. You can find us on your favorite podcatcher. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you later. Cheers.
Bye.
TopMedTalk.
Thanks for downloading TopMedTalk. Don't forget to subscribe via your podcatcher. Don't forget to check us out on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And also, don't forget, TopMedTalk is the broadcasting arm of EBPOM, Evidence-Based Perioperative Medicine. We'd love you to find out more about that. If you check out ebpom.org, you can find low prices on some of the conferences we're organising around the world. Many of them are virtual and don't even involve you leaving your own home. Check out ebpom.org now.